person to admit that I am not a germaphobe. I am just really not. I know that there are a lot of people out there who are. I get that. I understand, and I have sympathy for you because to be honest, I really don't understand why you're that way. That said, I get that you have the right to do that, and I'm not trying to tell you that you don't. But I want to talk today on the subject of stopping germs on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt, and today is Tuesday, the 29th of March of 2022. I realize that I've got Tuesday for the 30th, which of course is wrong in my notes. That's okay. I'll fix that later. Welcome to everyone who's here on Rumble, the podcast, YouTube, BitChute, CloudHub, my Facebook page. That's the Kurt's Religion and Politics page on Facebook. On kurtzreligionandpolitics.locals.com, on Minds, MINDS.com, and that would be the Kurt's Religion and Politics group primarily there. Parler, Gab, which seems to be working for me again, so I'm putting my content out there again, and Twitter and anywhere else you might find me today. And again, the subject today is stopping germs. And I'm going to go ahead and get into my notes so that we can talk about that a little bit to set the level so that we know what I'm talking about today. Do we really want to stop all germs from getting to us? Could we do so if that's truly what we desired? Are there various microscopic critters from our environment that are beneficial? Even among those that cause problems of sorts, do we want to never be exposed to them? You have an immune system. It sort of has a list of virus definitions like the antivirus software on your computer. Unlike your internet-connected computer, where new definitions can be added to the list via download, your body finds out about new viri by getting them. That's why many vaccines are actually inert, I put that in quotes, inert in quotes, sort of like dead virus. That way, the new-to-your-system bug can be, quote, added to the list of known pathogens without you actually having to get it. Sometimes it's enough to have a similar virus, either to become infected by it or to have it as a shot. This has to do with receptor bindings. I could get into a little more detail. I have a little bit of knowledge about that because of some places that I've worked in past. If your immune cells, the antigens in your system particularly, have a sufficiently similar definition, it's easier for them to tackle a new baddie. The point I'm trying to make is this. I see signs everywhere that talk about trying to stop the spread of viri and other such microorganisms. Not only can you not do that, but you shouldn't want to either. A robust and equipped immune system counts on meeting with resistance. It expects, if you will, to have to deal with pathogens, and in doing so, it becomes ever more able to deal with the things it might encounter. Am I saying you should never wash your hands or take similar actions to reduce the spread of various things? Not at all. I am pointing out that becoming more or less neurotic where such things are concerned is not beneficial, for multiple reasons, by the way. It used to be common to expect children to get dirty, muddy, and sometimes downright gross, right? When did that change? And more importantly, why? We have, as a society, become ever more concerned about the potential for various kinds of things, various illnesses and so forth, making their way through society. This became imminently evident in our, quote, recent crisis, and I'm not going to go into details on that so people can't ding me for it. People literally were hiding themselves away various ways. Masks, social distancing, vaccines that we're not even sure work, okay, lockdowns, various things. They were hiding themselves away. I get it, particularly for the initial waves of the virus that people were hiding from. Somewhat I get it. I still didn't do it, but I understand why they would think that that's a good idea. It really doesn't seem to work based on the evidence that I've seen presented, but I'm not going to argue that. I'm not even going to try and argue that. What I am going to say is that if your immune system doesn't get exposed to various pathogens that are out there, and I'm not saying everything. You don't want to get exposed to the plague or whatever, right? None of that. But if your body doesn't get exposed to those things, you have no ability to fight them off. That's the reality. You get colds, you get flus, you get viruses of various kinds. And that's regardless of the flu shot that you got. You still get the flu sometimes, even if you got a flu shot. The efficacy of flu shots, as I say, the last I saw the number was somewhere in the 30-something% range. It's not highly efficacious to get a flu shot. It's one of the reasons I don't do it. Am I telling you not to get a flu shot? Knock yourself out and get one if that's what you feel like you ought to do. From my perspective, when people get flu shots, I feel like they're wasting time doing something that's not helpful to them, and it's not going to do anything for anybody else either. When you get the flu shot, the only thing it should do is introduce a particular strain of the flu to your system again, and in an inert fashion, I'm pretty sure. I can, if somebody wants to correct me, I'm willing to be corrected on that, such that the body creates antigens to the pathogens that are being introduced, so that when those pathogens come into your system, when those baddies, when those flu virus components come into your system, the body goes, oh, I know how to deal with that, and it does. It isn't about stopping you from getting it to begin with. That's not a thing. It's about you being, your immune system being prepared for those things. And in that sense, I suppose I can make an argument for it being at least sort of understandable, again, for you to do that. But if you ask me, I honestly think that 95% of the time you're just as good off getting the flu as you are getting the shot. And of course, the hope is that you won't get the flu either. Obviously, again, do I want you to get black plague? Do I want you to get smallpox? No, of course I don't. And I believe that we're doing certain things that will help with that, well, where that's concerned. But if you go into the bathroom of places that I've worked, you will find signs up that say, oh, wash your hands for X amount of time and do this and do that and do this other thing and make sure that you, and I'm looking at all this and I'm going, you guys realize that people survived forever without really having the sorts of bathrooms that we have in their houses, much less in their workplace, right? You realize that, right? It's not terrible that we've come to the place where we have the tools that we have to fight various things. Yeah, I wash my dishes. Yes, I wash my hands. Yes, I take showers. Yeah, okay, I do all of that, and I think all of that's good. But I want for you to understand something. There are people who regularly get themselves out in the deer woods, and the last thing that they want to do is try and keep themselves perfectly clean in those situations. It just doesn't happen, and we know it. And it doesn't hurt those people. In fact, I would venture to say a lot of the time what it does is it bolsters their immune system to go out there and do these things. So I would think probably deer hunters and so forth are maybe more healthy. People who work in hard labor jobs probably too, because they get dirty and grimy and so forth. And that's just part of what they deal with. And I think it's a good thing because it means that their immune systems have to deal with those things on a more regular basis than those of us who do things, for example, like work in offices and studios. I work primarily in offices. I'm wishful thinking talking about studios. I do my videos, as I think you probably figured out of my kitchen. But the point I'm making is simple. Look, it's okay to keep yourself clean and so forth. There comes a point when you're maybe even as far as delusional if you think that you're going to stop viruses, bacteria, and various things from spreading. And oh, by the way, a lot of those viruses and bacteria are actually helpful, and when you kill them all off, you're actually doing yourself no service. Okay, I need to go ahead and wrap up. This has been the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host, I'm Kurt, and today is Tuesday, the 29th of March of 2022. I'm looking at my Tuesday the 30th. That means tomorrow will be Wednesday the 30th of March of 2022, not Tuesday. So that middle of the weekday for a lot of people, middle of the work week for a lot of people who work a standard work week. Thank you for everyone who's been here on Rumble, the podcast, YouTube, BitChute, CloudHub, my Facebook page. That is the Kurt's Religion and Politics page there. By the way, YouTube channels, YouTube, BitChute, and Rumble channels are Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. Kurt's Religion and Politics.locals.com, minds.com. That is the Kurt's Religion and Politics channel primarily there. Parler, Gab, Twitter, and wherever else you may be catching me today. Subject for today has been stopping germs. And tomorrow we're going to talk about falling away. And this is something that kind of came to me thinking about the fact that I'm getting older and I'm watching as various people around me are slowly but surely going the way of the dinosaur. They're dying off, and that's just how that works. I want to talk some about that tomorrow, and I want to relate it to some things that I see about younger folks if I get the chance to do it, so I'll try to do that. Hope you're having a good day today. Hope everything is going well for you, and hopefully we will see you again on not Tuesdays but Wednesdays edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This podcast was created on Tuesday the 29th of March of 2022. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching today's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. Don't forget to come back tomorrow to check out the next one. Remember, on various platforms, primarily Rumble, YouTube, BitChute, and CloudHub, and the audio podcast, you can subscribe to my content. For the audio podcast, you probably want to use Apple, Google, or Spotify. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. In order to find me on those platforms, you can go to the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble, YouTube, BitChute, and CloudHub. You can also get to my content on Facebook by finding the Kurt's Religion and Politics page there. Minds, minds.com, where you will find me at the Kurt's Religion and Politics group. And Kurt's Religion and Politics.locals.com as well. You can look there. I post my daily video on various social media sites, really only about 3, Parler, Gab, and Twitter at present. I am at KP Schubert on each of them, and you can find me under them, and you can find the videos under me. You should be able to find my podcasts on Google and Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It's also on podcasts.kpschubert.com. That's podcasts with an S. .kpschubert.com. If you're looking for me on various of the podcast sites, you probably want to search Kurt's Religion and Politics, not the Daily Summation. Keep in mind you can subscribe to my content on various places that I put it. All constructive feedback is welcome. You can like, dislike, add a rumble, or give whatever feedback is available on any of the platforms that you can do such things. You can also add a comment on what I put there. Unless you're advertising or doing something that I believe will harm others, I'll leave your comments out there even if I don't agree with or understand them. I will try to let you know I've seen them when possible and may reply if I feel it's reasonable, appropriate, and possible, of course. Thanks again for viewing this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. Don't forget to come back again for tomorrow's as well.